4, 3. There we are. I was going to count down to 2, 1, and it said live. Well, welcome everybody to Tuesday Tea Time. My name is Tracey, and today we have 2 special guests. We have Miss Megan.
Hi.
And Miss Roberta.
Hi.
And you guys, today what we're going to talk about is, I think, one of the most important things that since we all left our MLM, we have not really chatted about, and that is getting your mind right, healing yourself after you leave a multi-level marketing company, because we talk about all of the creepy techniques they use to entice you to join, and all of the creepy techniques they teach you while you're in there to try to keep your downline happy and keep your customers coming in. But once you leave and you're not in that environment anymore, you can't just switch all that stuff off, right? And go back to what you were before. And you're changed forever, because I don't think you can unlearn all of that stuff. So I am so excited to have with us today Megan, for the reason that Megan wrote this amazing book called Cutting Ties, Healing After MLM. That's the book. I've got it electronically. And I've got the book scrolling across the bottom. You guys can go and get it on Amazon. And if you are a Kindle Unlimited member like myself, you can download it and read it. It's part of your Kindle Unlimited subscription, which is awesome. It's a workbook. So it's meant for you to get a notebook, write your stuff down, and do the work to try to get yourself and your mind back to where you have a healthy balance after dealing with the manipulative cult-like techniques that you are taught in an MLM and that you're victimized by, because not everybody is a big leader. But if you're just a member of the marching crew and you're just in there for your side hustle, or you're in there as a customer, you are subjected to these behaviors. And even if you're not using them yourself, you're still internalizing all the stuff. I feel like I did. And I have a confession to make. And this is something that I have done for years. Even though I worked paparazzi as a business for years, I have been a member of 17 MLMs. Wow. I've bought 17 kits. I was what you called a kidnapper. I am actually currently, right this minute, because I'm within the 12 months before they cancel you, in 6 MLMs. Right this minute. I've bought, in the past 12 months, 6 kits from different places. Now, I could tell you it's because I wanted to try the products and help out friends. And that's true, because those things are what I chose to do with them. And I'm not working any of them actively, like actively recruiting, having parties, or trying to sell things. But I buy kits. And one of the things that I feel like is one of my toxic traits is when one of my friends in another company says, "Hey, I'm doing this. What do you think?" I'm like, "Girl, I'll try it, but I'm not going to like it." But I still buy the kit, y'all. I still buy the kit. Because I think, okay, I'll help my friend. Because even if I'm not going out and trying to bring more people in, I still don't say no. So I would love for somebody to tell me that I can get rid of this part of my brain that says yes. Like, I can get over this, right? Like, I recognize it now for what it is.
Yeah.
And Roberta, I'm not the only crazy person that you've ever talked to, right? That like lost big in an MLM.
No.
And then decided to go try it again, or
No.
keeps buying kits. Like, I'm not the only crazy lunatic, right?
No, not at all.
Because somebody did a TikTok trying to shame me for being in MLMs. Be like, she's currently in 2 MLMs. I'm like, bitch, I'm in 6. Like, your information is inaccurate and incomplete. I'm like, if you're going to mock me, baby, get your mind right. Get it all correct.
It's misplaced anger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I was hoping that today we could talk about, like, Megan, what made you write this book? What brought you to the point where you had this idea?
So because I'm a trained therapist, right? And I say that because I feel like I need to qualify for people to understand that this isn't just some random person who threw a book out onto the market to make money. I'm legitimately trained with almost 20 years of experience in behavioral health. One of the things that I know is that people in my industry don't fully understand multi-level marketing. So even coming to a therapist, you might not get what you need. They don't know necessarily how to process people coming out of high pressure groups, coming out of high pressure jobs. that kind of thing. And the other piece is that I'm going to be real. Like I'm an introvert by nature. Yes, I have social media. Yes, I do TikTok for fun, but I like it because I can put it out there and I don't have to have a conversation. And I know there's a lot of people out there that could benefit from having something to help them first identify their feelings, and second of all, work through even the shame that they have associated with having been, a part of these types of companies, and that initial shame of when I realized that I was scammed, like that hurts. That does not feel good, especially if part of your identity is I'm a smart person, right? On top of it, my goal is to eventually do some companion series, more in-depth versions with bigger issues that could actually be applied to outside of MLM in and of itself. Because what I know from my own experience in MLM is that I had a vulnerability that got exploited. And if I could be exploited, having all the tricks up my sleeve, knowing all the things that I know about myself, having done extensive therapy myself to overcome past issues, and I still had that person who was able to just dive right in, then that means that other people need to identify what's going on with them. On top of it, when I left, if you listen to my first episodes of Roberta's podcast where I was on, I was still angry. And anytime I talked about my upline, my recruiter, I had a trauma response. I've done extensive work in the last year to eliminate my trauma response just discussing that woman. Because she's a predator.
It's a really cool transformation because she did come back. I think you guys are the only two people that have actually been on twice as like your own episodes, oddly enough.
That's right.
Because we're that much. Like, it's that much.
I'm that extra.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to go to listen to Megan's first episode where we talked and met for the first time. And then, Megan is a dear friend of mine now, and we've created a really great colleague friendship work thing where we work with each other a lot, and it's really cool. And her newer episode, it's like night and day.
That is actually really cool.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
There's a lot of healing that goes in, and I think a lot of it, like what Megan says, is like just seeing it and identifying it. And sometimes we've got people, I get emails all the time from people that were like, when I first saw you on TikTok, Instagram, when I first heard your podcast because you talked about my company, I hated you. Oh, I hated you. And I was like, okay, you can hate me, that's all right. You don't have to like me. And then they're like, I stuck around, I listened a little bit more, I realized, wait a second, something that she said, that's a trauma response that I have. And sort of working into it, they say, I listened to Megan's episode or Haley's episode where we had mental health professionals come on and talk about these things and these triggers. And it's like, wow, like I had no idea how deep it goes. And I think a lot of people, especially when you leave MLM, there's a couple different ways you can leave MLM, right? You can choose, you can figure it out and go, what is this? I'm leaving and I'm telling everybody. Or you can say, I'm leaving this and I'm not going to say anything ever because this is shameful. Or you can be fired and not ever really have that processing. Like I processed like while I was in that I needed to get out. And a lot of people don't get to process while they're in and see it coming at all these angles. And it's not as easy for everybody when they leave to be like, this is a scam. It's inherently a scam. All of it's a scam. All of them are the same. What? How did I fall into this? A lot of times it's like, well, that one was bad, but it was because it was health shakes and I don't like shakes. This one over here is nail stickers and I like those. So that one is better because I like it. I can sell that one. But at the same time, when you knock all the walls down and you just get down to the foundation and the bones, it's the exact same thing. And so a lot of times people have a really hard time processing just that fact to get out of it. And it takes, I say this a lot, I say the anger stage is the hardest one to get out of, and a lot of people stay there a really long time.
And that's one of the parts of the book that I kind of had a light bulb go off over my head, because when you talk to people and they have different experiences. And one of the parts of your book, Megan, it said there's big T trauma and little T trauma. Yep. Like major trauma versus small traumas. Can you kind of elaborate like what the difference would be to people? Like not everything is like a bus hit you.
Right. So So the way I explain it to people, because I have to do this a lot in my job, I'm a trauma therapist. So I have to explain to people the difference between big T trauma, little T trauma, and then a trauma disorder, right? Because a lot of people think that if I've experienced some kind of trauma, then that means I have PTSD. Well, no, it doesn't. We all experience trauma all day long in a lot of different ways, and we don't realize it. So big T traumas are the things that happen to us or around us or that we witness that anybody could look at and say, yeah, that would impact me. I might have trouble processing that. It's things like overt abuse. It's things like combat experience. It's things like natural disasters. It's things like significant car accidents. It's witnessing extreme violence. It's having major health crises, like big things, big life-changing, momentous things. And some people can go their whole lives without ever having direct witnessing to a big T trauma. But most people experience little T traumas every day of their life and don't even realize how it impacts their sense of safety. And little T traumas are these little pinpricks that come. It's the little manipulations. It's calling you names. It's being exposed to prejudicial people who say things that are fat phobic, xenophobic, racist, sexist. It's I worked in the prison system for a long time. In the prison system, it's calling somebody by a number instead of by their name. Right?
Okay.
It's being called stupid by somebody you care about. It's the withholding behaviors. I talk a lot about the different tactics. You know, the opposite of love bombing is withholding. So when somebody starts neglecting you, you start to feel unimportant, and that takes it takes a toll on our soul sometimes. When you go from this elevated place of feeling really good about yourself, and then all of a sudden that person that's been responsible for that takes it all away, right? It's driving by car accidents. It's having a boss that doesn't treat you well. It's being not recognized. It's not feeling supported at home. It's all the things. Sometimes my 6-year-old divvies out some little T traumas because that girl is savage, like savage.
It's like, are you gonna wear that outside? That's an interesting choice.
No, she'll be like, Mama, I'm just so mad at you right now. Like, okay,
hey.
Sorry for my boundaries. But those things, and they over time, those little T traumas, they build up and they become a big T trauma when it's unrecognized, unresolved. And anything that lasts with a specific set of symptoms over 6 months is when we talk trauma disorders. I'm very open about the fact that I am a complex PTSD survivor. My disease is in remission right now. Doesn't mean I don't still have trauma responses when I get triggered. But for the most part, my active disease is completely behind me because I've done the work. And what people don't realize is that when you're in an MLM, those little T traumas come from the CEOs. They come from your upline. They come from your downline. They come from your sideline. They come from the FOMO. They come from all these different angles of people telling you fundamentally that you're not doing enough and that you're not good enough.
Yep.
And don't you want to be better? Well, you know what? I'm sorry, bitch. I'm good just the way I am.
Yeah.
Like, who I am is perfect. And you want to keep telling me I'm less than, and I'm going to tell you you can kick rocks, because I don't believe that. Right? And that was one of the fundamental issues that kind of kept me from diving all in when I was in, because I don't let other people treat me that way. I a long time ago, I did a lot of work on myself. I don't let other people treat me like crap. I'm sorry. That's a boundary. It's a hard no. But other people aren't there, especially when the little T traumas you're experiencing feel very familiar because you've experienced them before, right? Significant others, parents, siblings, teachers, bosses, anybody that has ever made you feel less, society in general, right? I feel like one of the main reasons I feel like stay-at-home parents are targeted, because they're constantly made to feel like that what they do doesn't contribute enough. I'm sorry, you're a taxi driver, you're a cook, you're a maid, you're a personal assistant, you're sometimes a nurse. Like, you're doing 12 jobs in one. What you do is definitely good enough, and I can't do it. That's why I'm a working mom.
And I think a lot of the challenge with people in multi-level marketing is these companies treat you in a way that you wish your family and best friends would when you first join. So they give you this place where you could not only be successful and make money, but people love you and appreciate you, and they're thanking you, and they're telling you you've made these achievements and being praised for the smallest thing in the beginning. I feel like in the beginning, right? And then as you move through, if you're somebody who maybe, because what did you actually quoted this? You said in 2011, someone came out with a study and said only 1% of people ever make any money in multi-level marketing groups. 1% of people. So when you are not the 1%, and maybe you're slowing down because you've gotten through, what do they tell you? You get through your warm market, and now you're just at the point where you've approached everyone that you have a reasonable relationship with. And maybe you're not an aggressive, pushy person who wants to push past that and start going at strangers. You have plateaued. All of a sudden, the person who loved you doesn't love you anymore. And the person that praised you for your effort is telling you that, what are you not doing now? What's wrong with you? What happened? Are you not motivated? Are you not trying? Try harder. The product is amazing. Why aren't you selling more of it? What do you mean everyone's trying? You need to make more friends. You're not going on social media. Are you not doing your interaction posts? Are you not going into groups and creating friendships with strangers? They want you to constantly feed their mill, right? And if you're not a mill feeder, then all of a sudden, all of those nice things they said about you, they take back. And you had been so warm and cuddly, and they've ripped your blanket off, and you're freezing now. They're freezing you out. So you want to be back in the warmth, right? You're trying to figure out, and you do all the things, and you're begging and pleading, and you're hoping. Or you get kicked out, or or something happens, and financially you just have to leave. Like, you just can't maintain it anymore. And you're bereft, right? And there's a whole stage of grief. And I don't think anybody talked to me about it that recognized it as grief. It's sort of a death. Like, you have to see that this business idea of yours died, and most of your relationships that were related to that business died. It's like a mass murder, or a mass suicide, or just a mass of death. Like, it's a lot.
On top of it, one of the things that people forget is that we experience a grieving process anytime part of our identity has to shift. Our identity grieving and that work is something that we do throughout our entire life. And so, like, so when we talk about grieving processes, people would be like, well, why would me leaving a job be a grieving process? Well, I'll tell you what. We have a grieving process even during happy moments because of the change in identity. When we graduate from high school, if we graduate from college, if we get married, when we have a kid, all of that it has some grief in it because we have to shift our identity. And if my core identity has been challenged and my values are being challenged, I don't know who I am anymore. And that creates a lot of anger. It creates a lot of depression. It creates a lot of guilt. It creates a lot of shame. And one of the things that I have in that workbook are some exercises for people to understand that who you are at your core is still there. Your values, your values that make you an amazing person are still there. You can get them back into alignment with good motivation. What happens is that we take that MLM takes that value system and manipulates it, right? Manipulates it into using it for their nefarious terms, right? So that's why a lot of people who truly believe I'm helping people, I'm blessing people, I'm doing all of this, that's because that's what's in line with who they are as a person. Fundamentally, they are a good person, right? It's very rare that you have the people in this industry that are the sharks, right? That even some of the 1% really just truly believe that they're doing something good for humanity.
They do.
Right? But there are sharks in the water, and most of those sharks are the CEOs of these companies. And that's why I wrote this book for anybody involved. I don't care what level you're at, because the real problematic people are these CEO cult leaders. They're the problem, and their executive teams that co-sign their bullshit. They're the problems. They take good people and twist them and change them and indoctrinate them in ways that can make them completely abandon who they are, that makes people cut off their family, makes people cut off their lifelong friends, the people that tell them the truth. Like, that's not an upline didn't come up with that.
Right.
That came from the top. Right. And I think that's the thing that we have to remember. Yes, there are some people that can think for themselves and they're sharks and they want to be, or they're minnows and they want to be sharks. And they're going to do what they got to do to climb up that pyramid, no matter who they step on. Yes, there are people that do that. Absolutely. And not everybody is a trained robot. Because I hear that a lot in some of the people that are, opposing the anti-MLM community, that we say that people are too stupid to think for themselves. That's not accurate. Because people don't walk in abusing you from jump. Because if somebody walked in telling you what a stupid piece of shit you are, would you sign up underneath them? I wouldn't, right? No, that's not how abusive relationships work. And that's what this is. This is the worst example of the power and control wheel used in domestic violence relationships ever. That's what's up.
High demand.
And it's one of those things where it's not just so much the person who loves you stops showing you the love. It's a dichotomy. They go from love bombing you to treating you like crap.
Yes.
And telling you how bad you are. There's no
it's
in
all
between.
or nothing. Yeah.
There's no in between. And
Right.
that's
And
a
MLMs.
tactic.
Yeah, that's the black and white, the us versus them, up, down, left, right. There's no center, there's no gray, there's no nuance. There's no room for discussion. It's either this way or this way. And that's really culty and controlling and not okay. That's where we find healing, is in the center, in the nuance, and being able to decipher different things and work them out for ourselves, because everybody's journey out of trauma and processing is different. Every single person. I don't think I've met any one person that's had the same exact journey. Everybody has been wildly different. Whether it's been like, I got out and I started speaking, or I got out and it wasn't until 20 years later that I even unpacked this.
Right.
It's wild. It's a massive spectrum. It's all across the spectrum, and it is really important for everybody to understand that these are personal journeys, and so they are going to be dealt with in a personal manner for your own self and not for others.
Right.
I like this comment. Mickey Joe said MLM stand for making lives miserable. I have never seen that before, and that is on point. And a lot of questions have come through asking about the name of Megan's book. It's actually scrolling along the bottom, you guys. It says Cutting Ties, Healing After MLM, Megan Williams. That is the title of the book that we're talking about today. So you guys can find it on Amazon. Is it on? I only looked on Amazon. Megan, is that where it is?
Yeah, so I looked at a couple of different options for publishing, because I did self-publishing because I didn't want to have to sit and wait for somebody else to approve what I was doing. And I went and I know there are people that have issues with Amazon and all that. I get it, but here's my thing: is Amazon is available in so many other countries, and this doesn't just impact the US. I've had this sold in the UK. I've had the Kindle sold in Australia. I've sold copies in Canada, right?
Right.
I have some people who are speak other languages, so they can get it in other languages, right? Because Amazon does the translation automatically.
Yeah.
It's available in Kindle. It's also available in a paperback. I recommend, no matter, especially with the Kindle version, that you have some kind of way to take notes and answer the questions, because I had to condense the Kindle version down. The workbook, the paper workbook, actually has lots of space to write answers in. But there are some folks that are pulling a notebook in side by side, because if you've been in multiple MLMs, I recommend going through the exercises with every single MLM.
I was just going to say
that. I feel called out.
I was just going to say that. You can go to Walmart, you can get these notebooks, they're like 20 cents, 50 cents.
Dare you?
Super easy. You can put a little sticker on front.
I just need
says
tabs.
Herbalife.
I'll write
and
the
then
names
you work
on the
through
tabs, and I'll just go through each one.
That works too. And it's interesting. She's got a really, and this is my favorite. This is one of my favorite things in this book. In the beginning, there's just very easy questions, right? So you're thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
You haven't even left yet. You're just thinking about it, okay? You're just being like, I don't know, maybe. And it walks you through making that decision. And I filled it out because I was like, I'm going to put myself back in this mindset. And I went back to work through this. And I'm telling you, there was even stuff coming out that I was like, oh my God, I never processed through this. It's really interesting to just like identify certain things, and it's your own workbook. Like, you can be as honest as you want in this. Like, no one, your upline's not going to be like, what did you write? I need to see what you write before you close the book. If you could just show me what you wrote.
And I'm
really
not checking your work.
I just wanted to see just really quick, just so I know. Like, there's none of that, right? Like, you can name names, you can name companies, you can be all kinds of mean as much as you need to be in this. And one of the things that I thought was really great is there's actually a part where it's like, once you've got to this part, once you process through these very beginning steps,
yeah,
if you're not ready, that's okay. You can put the book away, you can come back to it, you can pick it back up, you can process through these. It's self-guided. If something's too heavy, that's a great red flag for you to be like, okay, maybe I'm not ready for this, and to work on some other things and to come back to it a week later or a month later or whatever you need to do. I'm not even done with it. I go through it slowly when I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I want to work on this. I'm having this feeling. And to go through it slowly, because you guys, like, it's like processing out of an abusive relationship. It's leaving a cult. It's leaving a high demand group. It's leaving like this, not only like the group dynamic, but that one-on-one dynamic with your upline. You don't even know half of the stuff that you maybe have, that you haven't unpacked, to be like, oh my God, I felt this way. What is going on? And to do that through all of your MLMs, like start with the first one you joined, work through, go to the next one and be like, oh my gosh, or even do the sections. This section, this section, this section, so you can process through the whole book at the same time, but to see the different correlations of where you were in your life, how old you were, how many kids you have, were you married at the time, you can write those down, you can write what your vulnerabilities are on each, and compare and go, wow, I joined this one because of this, and I joined this one because of that. Like, sorry, it's hot in here.
Well, there was a really cool question under the sense of self section that said, name 10 ways that you would have described yourself before entering an MLM, and then describe yourself now. And I used to hear one of the most frequent ways that people recruited in paparazzi was, this made me a whole new person and gave me confidence. I didn't have confidence, and now I have confidence. So it's taking shy people and making them outgoing and helping them overcome their fear of public speaking, for example, to go live and do a Facebook Live, which is not really public speaking because you're staring at yourself and there's nobody else in the room, right? So they give you this false sense of these accomplishments. But name 10 ways you described yourself before, and then your MLM experience has transformed you, right? And that's how I feel like the people who are in it and do recruiting, like, ask those 10 questions, and that's how they hook people and get them in. Like, you're right, I'm shy and outgoing, and I don't know how to match earrings to my necklaces. However, did I get on with my life before now? Look at me, I match incredibly. Oh, like that's, the light shines down on you, and you're like, oh, I have to join. Mm-hmm. But I believe that some people actually feel like not being able to match jewelry to every outfit they own maybe is a character flaw, and they're falling for it. Or you're right, I'm too shy to talk to people. This is going to force me to integrate my myself with other humans. Like, I'm going to be outgoing. Like, people see character flaws in themselves or what they perceive to be areas that they'd like to work on, and people in MLMs that don't have the same, I guess, sense that that's a flaw, they see them and they think, well, if I do what she did, I can be her. Like, I'm not afraid of public speaking. I would tell you that 99% of people in my law school class were terrified of public speaking. They would know everything they needed to say, but they couldn't spit it out. And I believe that half of the reason why I got through was because I didn't care if someone made fun of me when I was done talking. At least I stood up and opened my mouth, and my professors would call on me because they knew I wouldn't stumble and stutter and cry, because I could laugh at myself if I was wrong just as well as they could. I don't have a fear of public speaking. People think because my daughter and I go live that paparazzi magically gave me the ability to social sell. I could social sell because I can just socialize, period. I think it's easy to talk about something online, just like I'm sitting in a room with folks. In fact, it's easier because nobody's staring at me. I'm just talking to myself. People used to tell me, oh, I admire you all so much for what you do. I just wanted to do that. I knew I could do it. If you could do it, I could do it. And I'm like, no, actually, that's not true. Do you see other areas where you feel like that was the one area that I always focused where people would say, now I'm confident and I can speak publicly? Do you guys see other areas where you think people see a flaw in themselves and they think that the MLM participation is going to resolve it for them?
So I think that part of this is that idea that, and this is one of the vulnerabilities, this is one of the things that people forget, is that shyness isn't a flaw. Being an introvert is not a problem. Just because society says that extroverts are more valuable does not make that accurate, right? I am an extroverted introvert. I can people very well. I just spent my whole weekend at a conference surrounded by a lot of people's energy. By the middle of the afternoon, I'm like, I'm all peopled out. I got to go back to my hotel room and recharge so I can go back in the evening. I people well because I have a background in theater, so I can put the face on, right? I do much better one-on-one. That's why I'm an individual therapist, but I can run groups. Our society doesn't value introvertedness because it's not sellable. However, most of us that are introverts have so much background that we can do and so much work that we do in the background of our lives, just knowing that it's okay. It's okay to not be on all the time. And I see that with people. I see that people think that it comes back to that people just think that who they are isn't good enough just the way that they are. Right? People that'll say, you know, oh, well, it helped me not be nervous. I'm like, no, but you're still nervous. Like you're going to tell me people still have nerves, right? You're still fearing rejection. You're just changing yourself into somebody that your upline isn't going to reject. Right?
Now that's an interesting point. You're not necessarily any more outgoing, but you've created the appearance that the person whose opinion you value is going to value. It's not whether you value yourself, it's whether they value you. That external validation problem, that's all MLM seems to be, is external validation. You're getting a trophy or you're going for a prize, like constantly being bombarded with ways to be a winner, a winner.
Dopamine. Feels good. It's easy to exploit. It's easy to create addictions. Everybody's got it. Those of us that have neurodivergency, some of us have less dopamine than we should. And so our body's already craving it naturally. And when we see it, it's like, yes, I need it. And it feels really good. And MLMs have somehow figured out a way to exploit that.
It's so the other thing that they use, and I've heard it talked about here and there, like in passing, and people have identified it, but I want to really kind of like explain something about neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP.
Oh, now this is a cool topic. Yes,
lots of MLM like tippity toppities like are experts in this.
So let me tell you what about NLP. So there is actually a guy here who like has his own mini cult because he's a Tony Robbins wannabe, and he charges $5,000 a weekend for you to come and learn NLP from him. Yes. NLP, you're going to learn $5,000. You're going to learn NLP from him. Let me tell you something about NLP. NLP was actually developed by therapists initially under the cognitive behavioral model. What has happened is that we have discovered, and it was actually debunked decades ago as a therapeutic tool, because all it does is reprogram people.
Like hypnosis.
Right. So so cognitive behavioral therapy is where you learn how to change your own thoughts to influence your emotional process based off of unconscious belief structures that you hold. Okay. We identify all three of those parts. We ask what is valid. Let's move through it. What NLP does is it has the other person change your beliefs for you.
Oh, so that's deep, man. That's not a shallow topic.
No.
Is it? No, that's a big deal.
And so when people want to flex and be like, I'm really good at NLP, all salespeople use NLP. And I'm like, no, all salespeople don't use NLP. NLP is actually highly abusive. And when they found out, like, it got debunked, and then they found therapists that were still using it, those therapists got their licenses yanked.
Yikes.
because it's unethical.
So it's
Nancy
like
Salzman.
brainwashing, really. It's like
Yeah.
brainwashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like using loaded language for sure. Nancy Salzman, who was the head of Nexium with Keith Raniere, was a master of NLP, and the woman that is the co-author of that Young Living creepy book, she's also a master of NLP and a master of hypnotherapy.
Great. Sorry. There's nothing worse than monkeying around in people's subconscious when you have not pure motivation to do so. Like I know some hypnotherapists who are very ethical. They do everything above board. It's exactly the way it's supposed to be. But I'm going to tell you, even I have this moment of, can we not play with people's subconscious without them knowing what we're doing? That would be great. Because I do some work with people where we work with subconscious. We work with emotional response. The person is fully conscious. The person is fully in control of the whole situation, right? Because when you take somebody's inability to control their thoughts and you program it, NLP says we're programming. When you program somebody's subconscious, I'm sorry, but that to me, that kind of lights me up. That kind of makes me a little bit fired up because this is the stuff that I work years of undoing with clients, and it happens too when you look at people who experience childhood emotional abuse and neglect. Like it's a programming, right? If you're told you're terrible your entire life, you learn to believe it. What NLP does is it takes the outsider voice and makes it your own internal voice, and that's the problem. It makes you believe that about yourself. If I don't do this, that means I'm a failure. If I don't do this, that means I'm a loser. Quitters are quitters. Haters are haters. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have a quick moment. It's a squirrel moment, but give me a second. I really struggle with Taylor Swift on a whole lot of levels, but I'm going to tell you, I blame her for the whole hater thing. Like, literally, I really want to walk up to that woman and be like, T, can we please stop with the hater thing? Because like your song literally has made me want to like hurt people. Because that word gets thrown
Which
around
one?
Too much. Haters gotta hate.
Oh yeah, shake it off.
I cannot shake it off. I can't. I struggle with the shake it off. I struggle. I
had a moment. But like and then when you talk like the other way that these companies use a lot of NLP is through the music. You know, we saw some of the culty songs and all that stuff and like, do you know that music is stored in our brains differently than anything else? To the point where people with dementia and Alzheimer's might not remember their loved one's name, but they can remember a song from their childhood. Do you see how dangerous that is? NLP stands for Neuro-linguistic programming.
I'm glad you saw that. I was going to ask you again. Yes.
Got it.
And I will say that there is some NLP techniques or hypnosis techniques that can be used for good in the right hands. Someone commented and said that they quit smoking because of hypnosis.
Oh, yeah.
That's NLP and hypnosis for good. The problem is that most of these people aren't using it for good. They're using it to control people. And unfortunately, that's not good.
So the comments about I'll tell you why MLMs are not punished for this, because MLMs don't have to have a license saying that they won't harm people.
Right.
They're not trusted authorities, right? They don't have a code of ethics that says I can't harm somebody because this person is vulnerable coming to me for help. They're a business.
And then they walked on glass. No, I'm just like reading the comments. I'm sorry, I have ADHD.
You don't get to use that as an excuse.
Yeah. I feel like when I have gone to big corporate events, they play music the whole time, right? They play music. Some of that music may be even part of this whole overall programming. That would be an interesting thing to dig into.
Oh, it is.
Like, is the music that they're playing? Yeah.
Can I sing you guys a song? We are modern nature.
We are modern scammers.
Yeah. We are modern scammers. So, yeah. No, I mean, they use it. They use it right there.
I thought that the video that I saw on that you showed, Roberta, in one of your Friday YouTube presentations, where people were being baptized at their corporate event, was pretty extreme.
Yeah, faith manipulation, exploitation.
Paparazzi started working religion into their corporate events. The first, I don't know how long ago they did it, but the first year I went to a corporate event, I think was 2018. And there were religious leaders who were their motivational speakers, not about business. None of their speakers were about business, like how to improve your business. It was how to get your mind right and get with their religion, their choice of your religion. And all I thought to myself was, what if people here are agnostic, alternative religion, Muslim, Jewish, any modern religion or non-religious people at all who are sitting in the audience going, why am I coming to a business event and having someone else's religion presented to me as a business technique, right?
Yeah. I said that in Lula Rich. I was like, why are we hearing from the Book of Mormon right now? Like,
and the owners of paparazzi accessories are Mormon. And they would say things on stage like, you don't know who you are until you know whose you are. Well, I don't belong to anybody. I belong to myself. I believe I'm an American citizen and I have autonomy, but okay.
See, and that's so like not to single that particular faith out. There's a large Mormon population here in Phoenix. But part of their religion is mission work. It's proselytizing. It's you can increase
recruiting.
You can increase your afterlife benefits and blessings by bringing people into the church. So that's where that kind of comes in. And I'm sure that's partially how they justify what they're doing to themselves, is because if we're doing this, then that means we could be touching that one person that's going to get me my own planet, right? Like they're doing that. The other thing, like that affinity fraud, right? That idea that
it's dog whistles.
It's that piece of even people that might be agnostic and are in the moment, right? All of a sudden now I believe because I feel this collective energy. Or folks that, just had drifted away from a faith or what have you. Like, for me, it's that idea that this is still that emotion. It's still that value system, right? That value system of this is who I am. I'm a faith-based person.
Yeah.
I'm a child of God, however they want to term it, right? And it's funny because I walk a very spiritual path. I am practicing a faith-ish. Like I do my faith light because I don't believe in everything that the other person sitting next to me believes in. But I have a spirituality inside me, and I was taught that that's a very personal relationship. And if I take my personal relationship and I broadcast it to the world, like, then, I mean, I'm obviously talking about it right now, but I'm not giving specifics because that's my relationship.
Right.
It's not something that anybody else gets to determine for me, and it's something that requires deep thought and discernment. If I'm going to take the step of walking through a religious ceremony and not understanding what it means. And that's where they get you, because now it's that continued faith manipulation. When you got baptized, what, you don't believe anymore? That means you're going to go to hell. Oh my God. Like,
right.
Right? Like,
yeah. But I believe when people leave MLM, it's almost like you've been excommunicated from your faith because you put so much faith in the word of the people above you that it's almost like a religion. Like people who are deep into it, it's like a religious, it's like you said, a doctrine, the whole doctrine of that company, their value system, their belief system, their mission statement. They've got a mission. So you get kicked out and you're like, well, who do I look to now for guidance? Because I was looking to this was my guiding light. Where do I look for guidance? I think some people have come out of paparazzi and again are looking for another, instead of everybody trying to just move together as a group, they're looking for a leader. They want someone to lead. There are people who will constantly ask questions in our recovering paparazzi consultant group. What are we doing about where's the class action? Or who's getting a class action together? Every single person who's ever been a paparazzi consultant is an eligible member of a class, which means anybody can go get the lawsuit started. Anybody can. You want to have a lawsuit? Go talk to an attorney. Well, I can't do that. Aren't you going to do that? You should do that. You should do that. Who's going to do that? Oh, you're going to do that. You're going to do that. I'm just an ex-consultant like you. Am I working on it? Yeah, because it's my wheelhouse. What's your wheelhouse? What are you going to work on? Are you a good communicator? You want to lead the social group? I don't know. I don't think I can do anything. We need leaders. Let's elect leaders. Okay.
I don't want to be a leader if I have an option.
I'd just like to be a member for once of something without having to be in charge. I got little kids, dogs. I got a job. I got a job. I just want to, yeah.
Yeah.
So I find that people are still seeking the same structure of uplines that they were before. It's like no one realizes they're autonomous and they're allowed to just make a choice on their own.
It's a trauma bond. And it's also this thing that happens. So a lot of people who continue to fall into that, well, you do it kind of mentality, they're used to doing that. They're used to deferring to other people, right? Or they haven't recognized their own self-worth and capability. Right? Because again, that we go back to that idea of being told you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Well, guess what? You are fully capable of this and I believe in you. Right? And that's one of the things that, like, when I have people message me or we talk to people, you know, like when I talk to people one-on-one that are struggling with the other stuff, I'm like, I want you to know that you're fully capable. Because the MLM leaves you feeling incapable to the point where they give you scripted things. They don't let you use imagery that's not theirs. They're constantly telling you what you can and cannot say. You have so I'm an independent contractor. I'm an independent contractor. I have a contract with the person that I work for. I do make my own hours. She kind of dictates my pay schedule, but I get to determine how much I make based off of how much I work, right? Simple. Do you know how long my contract is? It's 2 pages. Do you know how long the contract was I signed for Senegens? Like 40?
I was going to say, I think the paparazzi one's about 86 pages
like 40.
long. I'm not even joking.
So I'm going to tell you, and this is the thing that happens when you look at what independent contractor laws mean. They shouldn't have that much control over an independent contractor. The only reason you are deemed an independent contractor is for them to not pay taxes for you. That's it. Otherwise, you are a W-2, you are an employee the way a W-2 employee is a W-2 employee. The end. And that's the thing, right? Like, nobody who is a business owner, and that's the identity that people are holding on to, right? We don't want to shadow it. You can't be a business owner if you have an 80-page contract that you signed with your wholesaler.
Right.
There is no such thing as an 80-page contract with a wholesaler anywhere else in business. It does not happen. And these are the things that I work with people on. Like, let's look at this. You have an entrepreneurial spirit. You want to be a business owner? Let's be a business owner. Let's do it legit, right? You don't want to work for other people. Let's find a way that you don't have to work for other people, because again, there's that dichotomy. They force you into black or white thinking. I'm great or I'm terrible. I'm a winner, I'm a loser. I'm a business owner or I have to work a 9-to-5 corporate job where I'm underpaid. Like, no, bro, that's not how this works. People trip out when I'm like, I don't work a 9-to-5 job. I don't have paid time off. I pay for my own health insurance because I like freedom and flexibility. I'm like, wait, what? You can do that? I'm like, yeah. Like, it's possible. I promise.
There's actually a health insurance marketplace in every single state. You can actually just buy an individual or a family health insurance policy without working for someone else. You can literally just go get it like you do car insurance, but no one believes you. They're like, oh, what?
Yep. You know, it creates this idea. They create this narrative that you are incapable. They want you dependent. They want to develop dependent personalities in people. Wow, this false sense of empowerment, right? Especially the false feminist bullcrap that comes out of their mouths, right? It's that idea that, you know, if we could if I can impart anything to anybody who's watching this at any point in time, I want you to understand that who you are in this moment is enough. You're good enough. You are enough. Right? You are perfect just the way you are. Doesn't mean that we don't all have stuff we need to work on and things that we would like to improve upon ourselves, but there is nothing lacking in who you are as a person. and listening to other people's narratives, continuing to tell you that's not enough. You need the next drink. You need to hit this. You need to hit that. It gets stuck in here. It gets stuck in here. And we need to move it out. And we need to understand that even like people tell me I'm cheesy because I go back to like really cheesy stuff because it works. And I'm old, so I'm going to reference Stuart Smalley.
I was just thinking about Stuart Smalley.
You're smart enough, and don't
people like you.
So I'm going to tell you why what Stuart does is actually effective. Okay, because when people get affirmations and mantras, they write them down or they just keep them stuck in their head. First of all, this thing will twist anything that you got, so we don't keep them up here. I have people write them out on Post-it notes, put them on their bathroom mirror, and read them out loud to themselves, looking themselves in the eye every single time they are in that bathroom. Because you have to hear it to believe it. You have to see it to believe it. And you need to look at yourself when you're saying it, because that's the person that needs to hear it. If I just say it out into the world, like I'm not telling it to me, it's uncomfortable, it's awkward, and especially for people that struggle to accept praise or to praise themselves because, God forbid, we're taught that we're not allowed to have confidence. It works. And people used to, like, he was a character and people made fun of him for doing these, but I'm going to tell you that is one of the most effective tools that I use with people who have low self-esteem, because eventually you begin to believe those words that are written on that mirror that you're saying to yourself. That becomes your internal monologue, not the voice text of your upline telling you that you need to sell more to hit your rank, and why aren't you doing this, and why aren't you doing that, and you're not going to convention, what's wrong with you, don't you care about what you're doing? Like, all of that noise, it goes away. It goes away.
Yeah.
If you let it.
If you want to, but then you also, the other thing I ask people is what are you gaining by holding on to that? What identity do you keep? The victim mentality, the martyr mentality? What are you gaining by holding on to that? Because it's not helping you. If it makes you feel like crap, why are you holding on to it? And that's something I do with all my clients. What need are you getting met in this moment?
But that's a really, really important question, because I think a lot of the people in our recovering paparazzi consultant group joined it because they knew somebody had been through the trauma that they had been through the war. I say it's like, I liken it all the time to the VFW. Like, everybody who's ever been a member of the armed services is welcome. Everybody's welcome to the VFW, but I'm saying you go and sit down and they assume you were a member of the armed services and you were part of a war, a foreign war. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter which one, young, old, you've all been through it. Everybody can raise their glass, to your shared experience. So a lot of people join the Recovering Paparazzi Consultants group and they tell their story to somebody who understands, because everybody was a consultant for that company. They know what they dealt with, whether they left voluntarily or involuntarily. There's going to be somebody there who resonates with your story. And people find, at least from their comments and what they've said, they find a great sense of relief just to share that story with somebody who doesn't say, well, I told you not to join the MLM. They're like, yo, girl, I joined the MLM too. Like, I know. Preach. I know. Amen. Mm-hmm. I heard it. I was there. I did it. I did the same thing, or I heard the same thing, or my upline used to say the same thing, or I failed the same way, or I could never do what they were all doing either. Just that sense of knowing that you were not the only one who fell for the line, who spent too much money on inventory, or who wasted every night. They should have been sitting with their kids trying to sell $5 jewelry on Facebook Live and to 3 people that ever tuned in, There's just such a great power in telling your story with people who understand what you went through. But then some people write nice messages and say, thank you for the experience, but I'm going to dip now. Like, I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to continue to hear how bad I failed and how everybody's doing it. Like, I'm good. I actually can't take it anymore. I literally cannot listen to another person tell me they were as bad as I was. Like, they feel like they have nothing to give, or it just continually reminds them of something negative. And I wonder about those people. Like, I wonder if they don't have anybody around them, do they get better, or do they just bury it and never deal with it? Like, I feel like at least if we're in there talking about it, even if it's just to go, yeah, the same thing happened to me. Like, nobody has an answer about how to fix it, At least I didn't have an answer about how not to do it the next time, but at least you could say, yeah, you weren't the only one. But I feel like this book that you wrote has ways for people to work through.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to do it in a group setting, don't do it in a group setting, but please do it, even if you do it by yourself. Like I was thinking, I'm going to get this workbook and we're going to have some live audio rooms where we talk about these. Let people come up and talk about their answers to some of this stuff. Like, can we work through the workbook together? Because going after paparazzi and bringing the company down, that's all good and well. But it's a whole separate matter than forgiving yourself for being a hun and trying not to be a hun anymore. It's like a whole separate thing. It's like we're so focused on making the company publicly accountable for the bullshit that they spew into the universe that we forget that we need to actually work on maybe some stuff inside too. I loved the role of grief in leaving multi-level marketing. Like I loved the fact that you talked about that there's all these different levels of it. And everybody's in a different stage or a different phase of it, depending on how long you've been out or gone. And I've been out of my traumatic MLM experience for 2 years. And I'm still mad about it. Like, I'm still mad about it. Like, I'm not over it. I'm not okay with it. I'm still mad.
You know what you need? A lawsuit and a movie. Help me.
I'm working on it.
So let me tell you, Tracey, like, so shared experience helps us better understand, right? It helps take away some of that sting. The other thing that we have to remember about grief processing is that it's not linear and it comes in waves.
Okay.
So there'll be times when you're like, I'm good. I'm in acceptance. I'm in a good place. And then bam, something will hit, right? Like I can't even imagine the processing of people that left paparazzi, years ago or whatever. And then when you come out with these test results and then understanding like the bigger lie that was happening, right? Just that idea that it will come in waves, and it's okay that it comes in waves. We have to learn that our emotions are our friends. They are there to give us information about what's happening. And where the anger comes from with trauma brings anger because that is your self-worth standing up and saying, I didn't effing deserve this. That's what that is. And
That's
I
actually
think,
really cool.
especially us as women, I don't know about y'all. I was taught that women aren't allowed to be angry. Like it's not a feminine emotion, so don't experience it. I mean, I was all like, there's a lot of other things in my upbringing that were problematic.
I'm fine. You're fine.
But that was one of them, right?
Everything's fine.
Like I'm good. Like I'm not mad.
Everything's fine.
I'm like, it's good. Shut up. I'm not mad.
I am absolutely fine. What do you mean? I'm fine.
I will be mad if you ask me one more time.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So my husband will frequently ask me why I look so pissed off all the time because I just have a blank face. And I have to explain to him, I'm not pissed off. I'm just not on all the time.
It's just my face.
This is just what I look like. Like I do this because I want people to leave me alone, damn it. It's my introvert face. But like it really is. It's that place, and I got my little anger dude.
Yes.
He's my friend. He's my friend because anger is a place that we can't live in it, right? But it's necessary because it gives us that motivation sometimes to start standing up for ourselves. It gives us the ability to be enraged by the fact that I'm a good person and this happened to me. Like we can being a survivor, being a victim is not a dirty word.
No.
And what happens is that because we victim shame so much in our society, we put all the responsibility on the victim. Well, you should have known better. You know what? Look, it's the equivalent of she shouldn't have been wearing that. It's what it is. You should have known better. Well, you shouldn't have been wearing that. You shouldn't have had that much to drink. Right? Like, I don't think people understand how just horrendously we treat other people who have been through something traumatic. And even if it wasn't traumatic for that person, like one person individually, you don't get to invalidate the experience of all the other people that are saying, no, this is a problem. Right? Just because you've been able to compartmentalize it and walk away from it and be like, yeah, it was something I did, it wasn't the best decision, cool, doesn't mean that you get to invalidate all the people that are really struggling to process through what this meant. Because I would have told you that I was one of those people that was like, I wasn't really that far in. It really didn't impact me that much until I realized the predatory nature of how I was recruited. And I've shared it in other places, and I don't know if anybody on here has ever heard that, my piece of this. So I'm very open about the fact that I am a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. I'm very open about that. I was recruited at a recovery meeting based off of something that I shared in what was supposed to be a safe space by somebody who pretended to be my friend. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, I'm good. As soon as I started telling people about getting out and what had happened, I had so many people messaging me, telling me exactly what this woman was doing to them in the exact same types of situations. She was coming to them outside of recovery meetings and pitching them and wanting to meet up for coffee to like help them. But in turn, it was all just a sales pitch.
That is so gross.
She would pitch her business from the podium, sharing her story at recovery meetings. And this is a woman that wants to tell me that I have issues. You know what? Yeah, I got more issues than a magazine, girl. I'm good with it, right? But I'm going to tell you that if you want to put it on me for speaking out against what you are doing as a human being, like for real, like let's talk about that, right? If you don't see anything wrong with that, if you think that that's okay because I'm capitalizing on a warm market, you and I need to have, if somebody is like in that, we need to have a private conversation, because I'm going to tell you exactly why that is not okay and why that is old behavior that addicts use.
Okay.
Like for real, I'm okay with having one-on-one conversations with anybody, whoever wants to have them. If they're struggling with stuff, if they're like, I don't agree with something that you're saying, can you give me more information about this? Like anything, I'm more than willing to have a civil conversation. People want to come and attack at me, like I'm good, bro. I don't play that game, but I'm willing to have the conversation. I really am, because I have mad respect for people. I love people. That's why I do what I do for a living.
Right.
I genuinely love people. And I want people to be the best versions of themselves. And that's a big piece of why I did this book too, is because I was watching a lot of people struggle to find that best version of themselves again. And I'm watching it happen now in a lot of different circles. And I've taken a big step back from a lot of stuff, because I deal with enough trauma and negative energy and dealing with people in the worst circumstances of their lives. At work, I don't like to do it in my personal life if I don't have to.
Right.
Like I'm good. Like I said, introvert. I don't people well for long periods of time. And my reality is this, is that I'm watching a lot of people implode, and I'm watching a lot of people tear themselves apart when it's really unnecessary.
Absolutely.
And I am always more than willing to have a conversation, even with those people, to find out where the root of their anger really is. Because I can bet you dollars to donuts that they're really angry with themselves, because they're doing that shame-based self-talk that's really unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Because the anger towards the companies, the anger towards these CEOs, that is completely valid and justified. These people are predators. It's what they do. But if somebody's tearing themselves apart because they're not really sure how that anger manifests for them, I am more than willing to do that work with people. Technically, not as a licensed therapist, but as kind of more of a peer support thing. But if you're in the state of Arizona and you would like to get on my caseload, we can have that conversation too.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for coming on to talk about this, because when I downloaded this book, I saw so many of my own struggles given an avenue to try to fix, that I was just, it's overwhelming. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude that somebody wrote a book focused on MLM. So I thank you for doing this, because like you said, there's a lot of people, therapists. I was working with a therapist because I was so depressed after I got kicked out of my multi-level marketing company that I just lost all sense of focus for what I should do next. I'm like, I chose to do this, and they've removed this choice from me. I've never had a choice removed from me before, and they've ostracized me, and they've vilified me, and all of my friends I'd never been in a situation where leaving a job meant losing my entire social and support structure before. But the person I was talking to, lucky for me, specialized in cult recovery. She knew how to work me through what I was dealing with emotionally because she had left a cult and become a therapist. So funnily enough, it's weird how the universe works though, because I found this woman just when I needed to talk to somebody. I'd never likened MLM to a cult before. I'd never met Roberta. I hadn't talked to her. And the fact that after this book, did this come out, like, I want to say, how long did this come out, Megan? Maybe 3 months?
I pushed it out in November. I was going to wait till after the first of the year because I was going to do a little more with it. But
so 3 months,
as soon as Lula Rich hit and people were leaving in droves, I'm like, I got to get this thing out now. So there's some typos. Don't come for me for people that are like, there are typos. Yes, there are a couple of typos. Trust me, I cringe when I see them every single time. Okay. Addressed, I'm a human. I'm a human being, right?
Self-published, self-edited, like, come on.
And I'm going to tell you, Tracey, like, one of the things that I've heard from some people, I hear them talk about anxiety, I hear them talk about depression, I hear them talk about, like, all these things that they're not really sure where it's coming from while they're still in. And they cannot equate that anxiety, that depression is actually coming from the company. Yeah. I work with people trying to leave regular jobs, and I'm like, girl, you need to get out of that job. Like, for real, the job is what's killing you. You need to go, right? And people agonize so much. And one of the things that I think is interesting is that I have found fundamentally in my life and other people's lives that I've witnessed, when you walk with pure motivation with what you're doing, like real pure motivation with what you're doing, the universe always puts exactly what you need right in your face when you need it. And I know there are a lot of people that are afraid to walk away from these companies because their income is dependent upon it.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you right now, if you can find a way to walk away from it, the universe will provide for you.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. Because I know that deep down. And if you don't have faith in it, you can borrow some of mine. I got more faith than anybody. Like, I got enough for everybody that's watching this to borrow pieces of my faith in you as a human being, that you are resourceful enough to make it work.
Yeah.
Because it is not worth tearing yourself apart as an individual and neglecting all the things that made this choice important to you in the first place. It's not worth it to sacrifice all of that when you're not happy. When it's tearing who you are apart, when it's destroying who you are as an individual, when it's getting in the way of your marriage, when it's getting in the way of your friendships, when it's getting in the way of your ability to be a functioning human. Because trust me, you go enough days without sleep and you stop being a functioning human.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The end.
And that's a cult tactic. And it's designed that way.
The other thing I'm going to say, and this is something that I want to be very clear about. If you are judging the way that somebody else is walking their personal journey, I want to know how it feels in that glass house.
Yeah.
I do. I want to know. I don't judge people for their journey. People come to me and tell me, I want my journey to look different. Okay. I have friends that are still really deep into MLM companies. I don't preach to them. I don't do any of that. If they're ready, they can come to me and I'll have the conversation. I have people in my world that are entrenched in a lifestyle of drugs and alcohol that is destroying them. And when they're ready, they know where to come. I'm a safe space. But if you have a problem with the way that other people are walking their journey because it doesn't gel with what you think should be happening, you need to really look at, why am I in this glass house throwing stones? Because your journey is your journey, and great. I'm glad some people are in different places. But you know what? Not everybody has that level of resiliency. And a lot of people are dealing with buildup of things that happened before they ever joined the MLM. And if the MLM brought everything into your world or made all the promises that you thought you needed in your world, and then that got yanked away from you and you're back to being this little nobody, whatever, nobody, whatever, because you're not nobody, you're somebody. If the world felt like it needed you, it needs you, just so you know. You got to start looking at that. I'm over this I'm right, you're wrong mentality crap. We are all just people.
Yeah.
And that's in general. We are all just people trying to figure this thing out. Nobody has all the answers. Nobody.
No.
Not even me, right? Like, I don't have all the answers. I tell my clients all the time, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been wrong 3 times today already. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I definitely don't have all the answers either. But I am very happy to report that there are all kinds of people that are in the process of working their way out of MLM. They've been emailing me. They've been letting me know they're going to come on the show when they're out and they're ready to talk about it. But, you know, sending a lot of resources to people. We're working on creating resources this year, because you can't just be like, you're stupid, get out of your MLM. And then when someone's like, I got out of my MLM, like, good for you. Well, what's next? I don't fucking know. It's like, no, sorry. Like, you can't tell people to leave and then tell them sucks to be you. I can't help you. And so, you know, if we're going to be telling people, hey, this is bad, we need to be giving them alternatives. If we're going to be telling people you shouldn't do this, we need to be telling them why. And we need to be helping them. And I've got a woman in my inbox right now who's working through it. She's like, I'm on my way out, but my entire life is entrenched in this. My husband quit his job. He's all in. We're all in. Everything's all in.
Yeah,
we
all
make
in.
This much.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, I'm high up. This is how much we make. This is how much I spent. Like, I can't leave. What do I do? And I said, look, you got to take the steps to move out. Like, we got to take the steps to get out of here. So what are the first steps? And she's like, I've stopped recruiting. I've stopped offering the opportunity. I'm not going to get any more people in, but I can't quit. I have to continue to sell. I've got a garage full of product. I've got bills. I said, I understand that. So now that we're no longer being predatory, that's the first step, right? Now we're going to move forward and we're going to learn, okay, how much are you making? How much is it costing you? And how can we offset this, right? Like, can your husband go back to work? Can you be like, oh, we needed him to get whatever bullshit excuse you need to make up to tell the MLM why your husband going back to work? Do it. He just needed to get out of the house and it's just crazy with the pandemic. Whatever you need to say.
I like
say
your
it.
voices. You're like, it's so great. I like how you got all that.
I mean, ADHD, y'all.
I feel like she needs the vapors.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not everybody can quit and be 100% anti-MLM when they leave. And some people are like, look, I really want to get out of this, but I physically can't. Like, I have a family to take care of. I can't be homeless. I'm not going to pay their bills. I can't afford to pay their bills too. So we have to also understand that there's nuance when people are trying to get out of situations. Let's put it in this situation. Your best friend has a piece of shit husband who hurts her and abuses her. And she's like, I really want to get out of this, but I can't yet. Do you say, well, you're an idiot and I don't want to be your friend anymore then because you're stupid? Do you get mad at her once she leaves because she has that connection where she still answers text messages because she doesn't have that boundary yet? Are you mad at her then, or are you supportive to say, look, it's not a good idea, but I understand why you're doing it, and maybe we can find ways so that you're not doing it as much, or you're, to get to the point where you're not doing it at all. To set those boundaries and say, this is the only reason I'll talk to you. To set those boundaries, we have to put the victimization of people in other areas so that you can actually go, okay, well, she's not just an idiot that joined a pyramid scheme. Like, she's someone who's deeply, deeply trapped in this and doesn't know how to get out. There are not MLM shelters for people to just leave and be like,
not.
Look, now I've got they're gonna give me this money so I can pay my bills while I get out of Young Living. Like, that doesn't happen. We don't have that. That's what the anti-MLM community is for. And we're not gonna give you money either, but we're gonna help you, connect you with people that can help you get work from home jobs or other opportunities for gig work that you can do on the side. If it's Uber Eats or you're delivering groceries or whatever it is, your kid's in school X amount of days or X amount of hours a day, if you can do that, then great. There's things you're going to have to do multiple streams of income while you get out of your mainstream of income. But it's doable. It's absolutely doable. And it takes time. And I just want people to understand that it takes time. And we're all fighting the same bad guy, right? Like, at the end of this level, it's still Bowser, okay? Like, we're all still fighting. We're all trying to find that princess in another castle. We're trying to get there. But it's a group effort, and we have to be supportive of each other. You don't have to like me, I don't have to like you, but if you come to me and you're like, I need help, I'm gonna help you. I'm an advocate.
One of the main focuses, I hope, of Tea Time moving forward is just giving people tools to move on to the next phase of their life. Whether it's going and getting this workbook and working through it as best you can in your own time. Because Roberta, you even said you're still working on yours. Like, you've been out of LuLaRoe.
Look at this. I'll even prove.
Time.
Look at, there's a whole section I haven't even written in. Look at, there's the proof. Because look, I'll show you the proof that I have written in it. There's the other proof. So yeah, this is my personal workbook that I'm personally working through, and I'm very busy, so I don't get around to it as much as I would like to. But
I can tell you, when we first started the Recovering Paparazzi Consultants group, I was just staring at people going, how can you not leave this company? And we had a lot of Tea Time episodes where we'd be like, if you still work there, what kind of a human being are you?
Yeah, that's
because they had done such egregious things in my mind. Right. And we really owe, I really owe people an apology that I responded to in that way, because I was so absolutely just grossed out by the things that paparazzi was doing that in my mind, if you still worked there, you must be just as gross as these people. And I guess because I was just so hyper focused on the one area where I thought things were going so badly, like after their convention when people died. Like, how can you work for this place? They killed people for showing up. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. Why are you not leaving? That I didn't stop to think about the people who literally have absolutely no idea what to do if they do not do that. So I apologize publicly right here now for all the people that I made feel like I was absolutely judging them, because I was, and it was a shitty thing to do. So I apologize for being such an asshole, because I was a total asshole about it. I was so self-righteous in my indignation for everything. Why can't you just leave? Make your choices. What kind of a human being are you? That's just shitty, and I was shitty about it. And it took me a couple months to work through the fact that people were writing me these notes behind the scenes going, I know you think I'm an asshole, but I don't know what to do. I literally would love to leave. I have no idea how to do it. And I thought, wow, Tracey, you are a fucking bitch. That is super shitty. And you made people feel worse. Congratulations, you're an asshole. Congratulations, you are exactly what you just made everybody else, what you just called everybody, that's you. Like, I flipped it from, if you can't be in my MLM, you're an asshole, to if you don't get out of my MLM, you're an asshole. And that was shitty too. And working through all of these different exercises, we're trying to refocus. We're like, okay, let's build lifeboats. That's what I want the Recovering Paparazzi Consultant group to be now. Let's build lifeboats. Yeah. We've got a list of vendors that everybody's being really generous about donating their personal experiences with. So, if you want to continue to be a boutique owner, you want to sell jewelry and just do jewelry, here's where we're getting our jewelry now. You don't have to use them. Here's where you can get clothes. You want to get candles. You want to do this. You want to sew. You just want to do social stuff. Did you just do this as a side hustle? Let's find other ways to have interesting social experiences that don't involve $5 jewelry and lead and nickel and toxic shit. Did you have a physical reaction? You want to compare notes? Like, are we working on lawsuits? Of course we are. Are we working on getting more jewelry tested? We sure are. There's a lot of people who've sent us messages and said, look, we've got this out, we've got that out, we're waiting for responses. But what we also want to be is providing a place for people to land. And we didn't do it great in the beginning. We're also not experienced at this. We're all learning as we go. But we're trying. We're trying harder to be better humans to each other and give people a place that they can actually find resources, like Roberta's saying, and like Megan mentioned in her book. She's got a whole list in here of like how to replace your income. Babysit, get a certification, Uber Eats, like you said, Uber Eats. There's lots of ways to start replacing that money if you need to replace the money. That might even take less time than the nonsense that you've been doing all this time. Like, you might actually get some of your time back.
Tracey, I will say, you are not alone in having anger leaving MLM. You are not alone in saying shitty things. I don't think anybody can raise their hand and be like, I've never been an asshole. I'm an asshole sometimes. I try not to be, but it happens. Everybody has these little microaggressions throughout the day, and all of a sudden you're just like, ah! You know what I mean? Like, it happens, and it's normal. It's normal. It's okay. Yeah. Guess what? You know what I'm thankful for? I'm thankful for that the original Defective got shut down by Facebook. Because the screenshots that you could have probably seen of the bullshit, horrible things that I was saying in anger, people would have been like, what? Roberta Blevins said that? They'd be like, I absolutely did.
She's so
I absolutely did. 4.5 years ago, abso-fucking-lutely I did. I was so mad. You should have seen the memes that I made and shared in the group. Sometimes people share them. I'm like, oh my God, I made that. It survived. It's part of it. It's part of it. It's part of it. It's all part of it. And processing through it, like I say.
I was a real dick to people. So now
but you know what? You're not the only one. And thank you for apologizing. I think anybody that needed to hear that, one is like, thank you, Tracey. You said something that hurt me. But two, maybe they're looking in themselves going, oh my God, I also said things and maybe I should apologize. Mm-hmm. And it's okay because we're supposed to be growing and moving forward, you know, and it's hard. It's absolutely hard. Absolutely. But the first step is knowing that it's hard and that you made mistakes and that, again, to err is human.
And to give yourself
when we know better, we do better.
We need to give ourselves permission to be human, right?
Okay,
we know we do, for real. We need to give ourselves permission to be human beings, because I think that I'm going to speak for myself, because I know at least one other person on this right here can identify with this. I am asked to put the cape on every day. I am asked to be a superhuman every day of my life. I'm asked to carry horrific things and be strong for so many people in my life, not just at work, but I have stuff going on in my own life with my family, with all the things that people don't know about, and I got to put the cape on every single day of my life. And when I make a mistake, it's like, do I even get to wear this cape because I made a mistake? You know what? Yeah, that cape was custom made for me. I get to wear it. Do you see it flapping in the breeze right now? Because it's what it does.
I thought that was just a blanket and a fan.
No, it's my cape. It's my superhero cape. But you know what? At the end of the day, we are all just people. And yes, we all do stuff that's cringy. I had a bite you in the ass moment a couple weeks ago, and I had to do a lot of self-reflection about it. And I hurt somebody, and they have the right to be mad at me. They have the right to talk shit about me, because absolutely they earned it, because I said something I shouldn't have said. I did, out of emotion. Go figure. I'm a therapist. I'm still human. You know what? When that person is ready for me to have a conversation with them, she's already reached out on a social media platform that I'm not blocked on now. She's reached out to me and said that she wants to have a conversation. And I told her, whenever you are ready, because it's on her terms now, right? All we can do is try to make it right as we move forward. People are going to listen to it and they're going to be appreciative. And some people, they're not programmed to forgive because they don't know how to do it. And that's okay. And some people, they can forgive, but they're still going to be like, I still don't like you. I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay. I am so many people's Disney villain in their life at this point in my life that, like, I'm good with it. At least I get to be Maleficent because she's fabulous, right?
She is. She is fabulous. She is a fabulous wardrobe. Yeah. I envy that wardrobe.
And it's just going to come down to it that, you know, there are going to be people in the multi-level marketing company that aren't going to like people who leave. There are going to be people in your personal life who won't be able to get past the fact that you hunned them to death.
Yes.
There are going to be people that you shunned because they didn't support your business adventure that are going to have the right to say, thank you for apologizing, but you're still a dick and I don't want anything to do with you. They are allowed to do that. That is their boundaries. And we have to be okay with earning those consequences, but also understanding that they don't define us. Our past actions don't define us. No. You're not the Papa girl. You're not the Lula girl. I'm not the Senna
I'm the dead fart leggings girl, okay?
Yes, you are.
I'm the motherfucking Tracey bitch.
I'm the chick that put Synogen stripes on her daughter's hands for swim lessons to show how great they stood up in swimming. I'm that girl. So there's that.
Sorry.
Lipstick.
Well, I mean,
never
I
stayed
wrote
on
on
me,
my
but
kids
stayed on
during
my
the
kid's
swimming
hands.
with a Sharpie. I don't know which was worse, so
I mean,
I don't know.
you know, like, we all do stuff, and we all have to laugh at it. We all have to find the humor in laughing at ourselves. I laugh at myself daily. My Facebook memories, I don't delete them. I think they're funny as crap. Because I'm like, I've had so many people come up to me in the last year and be like, I'm so glad you don't do that shit anymore, that it's so not you. And I'm like, it's not, is it? It's not. Because it's not. Right? It's okay to be okay with laughing at what you've done, laughing at your mistakes, moving through them, and not beating yourself up for the rest of your life over it.
Absolutely.
Like, we all need to move through that. And the humility that it takes to stand on a platform with people that are in the comments wanting to trash talk. I'm seeing it. I'm trying to ignore it.
Yeah.
To be able to sit here and have the humility and the self-esteem and the self-worth to say, you know what, I'm accountable. I'm doing better. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm finding things out about myself that I didn't know. I think that's a huge example for everybody to be able to look at and say, you know what, I may not be okay with some of the things that she's done, but I can damn well respect the fact that she's willing to own it. Right? And the Cersei Lannister bullshit that's happening where people just want to shame, like, that stuff just needs to stop. I'm sorry. That is not productive on any level for anybody, like, at all. And I get people can be mad, but, like, can we just stop? Can we just stop? Like, I'm so over it. I'm so over it.
Sometimes I feel like them being mad keeps them from being sad. It's like they're trying to focus on being angry about something so that they don't feel so bad about everything else that goes on. And if that's how you get through the day, cool. But I'm not gonna take that on. I'll bounce that shit right back at you, baby.
The other thing I say is, if they're coming at me, they're leaving somebody else alone, and I know that I can handle it.
That's another thing too.
Like, I'm good with it. You're not recruiting while you're yelling at me. You're that's my favorite thing when Primerica people come for me. I'm like, you're at least not recruiting in the 20 minutes that you're taking trying to argue with me and rewatching my videos over and over and over again and getting madder. You're leaving somebody alone for that half an hour. Cool.
Right?
I can take it. I've been bullied my entire life by the biggest and the baddest. I worked in the prison system. Like, seriously, you really think that I can be offended by that? Cool. The only thing where I'll be like, yeah, you can completely fuck off is if you want to say something threatening to me. Then I'm like, I'm good. I'm out.
Yeah. You gotta draw a line somewhere.
I do want to address the comment that says that I am not the dead fart leggings girl because I originally was the dog scarf girl. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
You put him on the dog as a scarf?
No, I made a joke in the Vice documentary because we were like giving free Vice asked me to do a live sale so that they could film me doing a live sale like 2 years after I was out, and I was like, for real? So I came out of retirement for the Vice documentary and we sold some stuff, and there's a clip of me like doing the live, and I was like, and every package gets a free pair of leggings, you know, and if you don't like them, they're pajamas, and if you don't want to wear them, then they're dog scarves. Like, just...
Man, that's a good idea. Like,
I swear to God, like, every time I say something stupid, the film crew's like, keep that one in. That's a good one. And I'm like, no! They're like, don't talk about our advocacy. Talk about the dead fart leggings. I'm like, you...
You should have... I'm totally seeing Roberta's epitaph on her tombstone, the dead fart leggings girl.
The dead fart dog scarves.
Leggings, dead fart leggings. Adoring mother, owner of dead fart,
I've also called them
leggings.
I also called them poop in a wet bathing suit, and that's my favorite one. I think I've said that one in like Bloomberg or something, like a very good one. I was like, poop in a wet bathing suit. And everybody that had them were like,
that's a perfect,
oh my God, yes.
Like, everybody knows what that, they're like, everybody who's ever had a kid who cracked their baby.
That's what it's
like.
So true.
Anyone who's ever been responsible for lifting the toddler that shut the pool down.
Baby Ruth style. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. They're like, pool's closed.
They know
Everybody
exactly
else.
what happened.
I can't.
Why is
I
it
can't.
Shrek color?
What?
Oh.
Shrek color.
It is Shrek colored, yes.
My stuff's here. I'm gonna go get it.
Oh, perfect.
Well, ladies, I cannot thank you enough for sharing your time. on
Sorry,
Tuesday with me.
Letitia. I'm
I think
sorry.
You know what, though? I think that's the best way for us to end anything
Heck
is
yeah.
with that kind of a laugh. Like,
You
come
gotta
on, y'all.
laugh because
Come
it's been
on,
a lot of
y'all.
serious stuff. And you all,
If you-
I am not kidding. Roberta and I both are working through Megan's book, Cutting Ties, Healing After MLM. Please go to Amazon and pick up your copy because you will find out a lot about yourself going through these exercises, and some of it will be uncomfortable, but it will all be worthwhile. If you do the work, you're going to be better. Do the work, don't be a jerk. Is that a good thing? Do the work, don't be a jerk.
Do the work. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I know what you call the wooden round bead necklaces, so I don't need to ask.
Anal beads.
Oh my god, I was right! I was right.
All those graduated bead necklaces, and people are like, and if you don't like this necklace, we're like, please don't put those in your body. They're toxic. Please. They're not, that's not what they are. Please don't. I
mucous
do not,
membranes
I do
will
not
thank
kink
you.
shame. I am a romance author. I do not kink shame. Please
just
do not
kink
put
ask
these
why.
beads in your body. It's lead paint. Tests
we
have
don't-
shown this is not safe for you. Yeah.
We don't kink shame, we just kink ask why.
Just saying. Just saying.
You guys are
Well,
awesome.
ladies-
And if you want to see something really funny and you want to keep laughing, if you guys have not met Trudy yet, go to my YouTube channel and watch Trudy's opportunity call that we did before the Super Bowl.
Oh,
And-
before the Super Bowl? Was it like a pregame show?
It was a pregame
Y'all.
show, and we had none other than the amazing Summer Adam, who is a character of Mallory, who's also Barb. She's another one of Barb, an offshoot of Barb. She's called Summer Adam, and she's like very like a hippie, and she like lives in a van by the river, and she taught us all how to do our makeup and contour, and it's beautiful. And she didn't have time to get a sample, so we all had to use our own makeup. It's really funny. It's really funny.
I need something to wash the taste of that Super Bowl out of my mouth, y'all, because I'm from Cincinnati.
If you've ever seen the
I'm
people
from
on
Ohio,
TikTok
girl. Got
that are
you.
like, I'm from California, so. I don't even care. I don't even
I'm a
care. I
hockey
only
girl,
watched.
so,
I
like,
only
whatever.
watched the halftime show.
Okay.
Only watched that.
And I'm going to age myself. That was my jam. Those were my people. I crip walked across. Did I crip
Oh
walk
my
across
God,
the
I was
room?
crip
Yes,
walking
I
too.
did. And my kids are like, oh my God, please stop. What are you doing?
As soon as it was like ding ding ding, I was like, oh my God, it's my jam.
My kids are like,
It was amazing, and everybody that was like not into it, I was like, it wasn't for you. It wasn't for you.
I mean,
in fact, like
it
my
did take me
70.
a second to realize that was 50 Cent hanging upside down. I don't know what that was about, but I enjoyed the show. I'm just saying.
I think he
enjoyed
looks
it.
good. I think he
No,
looks
no,
good.
I just didn't know who it was. I'm like,
I
is
know.
somebody hanging upside down? Like, what's going on?
I want to say like my uncle, who's like in his 80s, literally called during the middle of it to complain about it.
How dare you?
And I was like, California! I was like, I was like, it wasn't for you. It was for me.
Exactly.
was
I
for
did
me.
see one funny meme on Facebook that said over 50 hated it, under 30 didn't understand.
Good job, Cindy's
40s,
mom.
that was for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, when like the Rolling Stones played, and I was like, I'm into it, but like that was for you. This is for me.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean,
was
I
good.
love,
I enjoyed
love
it.
all the halftime shows. I think they're great. Lady Gaga was a favorite. Bruno Mars was a favorite. But I mean, you guys, it was in LA, and LA won, and it was like Snoop. And did you see that Snoop blazed right before, and it was like on the news, and people are like, "Oh my God, Snoop smoked before," and everyone's like,
Have you met him? Like,
Have you listened to
anything
a
at all
lyric?
about him?
Have you listened to anything that man does?
Snoop. It's Snoop Dogg. I'm confused. Like, I would have been more worried if he hadn't. That's all.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
Like,
Anyway,
that's just
Ah!
him, right? That's his deal.
it was so good. It's so good.
Well, ladies, thank you so much. I appreciate your time tonight. I hope everybody got something positive out of this. We're moving tea times into the
We're
healing
all
zone
on the
as much as we
same
can.
team.
If we have more like solid information about like things like paparazzi jewelry test results or potential lawsuits or anything positive moving along those lines, we're happy to share it. But tonight was about making yourself a better you, and I appreciate both of you so much for spending time with us.
Yes.
I guess we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye. Everybody.